Summary of Chapter 12, Sitting Bull and the Wounded Knee Massacre. 1. The return of a legend. After the victory at Little Bighorn, Sitting Bull and his followers sought refuge in Canada. However, faced with starvation and the cold indifference of British authorities, he was forced to return to the U.S. in 1881. Despite promises of amnesty, he was held as a prisoner of war for 2 years before returning to Standing Rock. Even in defeat, Sitting Bull remained a global celebrity. He famously joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, using his earnings to help the poor. A notable moment of his resistance occurred during the completion of the Northern Pacific Railway. He delivered a speech full of Lakota insults toward the white audience. Because the interpreter translated his anger into words of peace and friendship, the crowd gave him a standing ovation, a moment of silent irony for the great chief. 2. The fragmentation of the Sioux land. During the 1880s, the U.S. government systematically worked to break up the Great Sioux Reservation. Through deceit, including collecting the signatures of 7-year-old children, commissioners claimed the tribes had agreed to sell half their land. While figures like Senator Henry Dawes initially exposed some of this treachery, the government eventually succeeded. By 1889, through secret councils and the manipulation of other chiefs, the once vast Sioux territory was splintered into small, isolated islands of land, surrounded by white settlers. 3. The Ghost Dance and a Prophet's Promise. In 1890, a new religious movement called the Ghost Dance swept through the tribes. Founded by a Paiute prophet named Wovoka, it preached a message of divine hope. The white man would vanish, the buffalo would return, and deceased ancestors would rise again. To the desperate Sioux, this was a lifeline. To the U.S. military, it looked like a brewing rebellion. Despite the peaceful nature of the dance, the government banned the ritual. When Sitting Bull refused to stop his people from dancing, the military ordered his arrest. 4. The death of Sitting Bull. On December 15, 1890, Indian police raided Sitting Bull's cabin. A struggle broke out between the police and Sitting Bull's loyal followers. In the chaos, Sitting Bull was shot and killed. The death of Tatanka Iotake, a man of immense patience and spiritual foresight, marked the shattering of the last great pillar of Indian resistance. 5. The Wounded Knee Massacre. Following Sitting Bull's death, Chief Bigfoot led a group of starving, sick survivors toward the Pine Ridge Reservation. They were intercepted by the 7th Cavalry, Custer's former regiment, at Wounded Knee Creek. On the morning of December 29, while the military was disarming the camp, a scuffle over a rifle owned by a deaf warrior named Black Coyote triggered an indiscriminate slaughter. Using rapid-fire Hotchkiss guns, the soldiers killed nearly 300 men, women, and children. 6. Conclusion. A bitter end. The massacre at Wounded Knee marked the end of the Plains Indians' century-long struggle. In a final, haunting irony, the survivors were taken to a church decorated for Christmas, where a banner read, "Peace on Earth, Goodwill to Men." It would not be until 1924 that Native Americans were finally granted U.S. citizenship, ending an era where they were treated as prisoners of war on their own ancestral lands.